My sister, 26F, tormented me for years while my parents stood by, favoring her. They missed my wedding to shield her pride, and I stayed quiet until it unraveled their world. I'm a 28-year-old woman, married 8 months ago after a 4-year relationship. Everyone attended except my parents and sister. I wasn't surprised by her absence. We've never been close. I sent her an invite out of courtesy, but my parents' no-show was a shock. They've always preferred my sister. She outshines me in nearly everything. She's strikingly beautiful, tall, and slim, while I'm short and heavier. She briefly modeled in college but focused on her business degree, landing a high-flying corporate job post-graduation. She's young, gorgeous, and successful, and my parents beam with pride over her. I get why. She's the daughter they boast about. I'm average by comparison. I don't deny it. I'm not as stunning or brilliant. I'm not putting myself down, I'm just realistic. Though less accomplished, I'm happy with my life. It used to hurt that my parents didn't show me equal affection, but I've made peace with it. As a kid, I tried to win their approval, but nothing worked. They seemed captivated by my sister, and I'd never measure up. Why keep chasing praise from people who only see your flaws? I stopped trying, focused on my own path, and found joy in it. I still kept contact with my parents to avoid drama. They're obsessed with appearances, so cutting them off would have sparked a fuss I didn't want. I stayed distant but civil, and they didn't care. They had my sister to dote on. That's how it was for years until my engagement last year. I told my parents and invited them to the wedding. They didn't show. I didn't miss them much on the day, but their absence raised eyebrows. No one batted an eye at my sister's no-show. Our rocky bond was known. But my parents' absence stood out, especially with no excuse. Days after, I decided to confront them. Even before the wedding, when they didn't RSVP, I'd reached out with no reply. I sensed something was off but was too busy to dwell. Post-wedding, I needed answers. I was done dodging the truth. When I called, they finally picked up. They claimed they were upset about missing it, insisting I hadn't sent a proper invite. I was baffled. I'd triple-checked the guest list with my husband. We'd sent physical and digital invites, and I knew they'd received one. On the call, they ranted about feeling snubbed for not getting an invite. I checked my records mid-conversation and confirmed I'd sent it. They were trying to twist the story, but I didn't call it out. I apologized for the mix-up and ended the call. Their attempt to pin it on me infuriated me. They deliberately skipped my wedding for reasons they wouldn't admit. I told my husband about their gaslighting, and he said they were likely mad I was marrying before my sister. That's why they bailed and were now spinning a tale to dodge blame. He thought they were protecting her ego. At first, I didn't get it, but he pointed out clues. When I announced my engagement, they weren't thrilled. They seemed stunned. I'd assumed it was because I rarely called, only notifying them out of duty before posting online. But my husband said their reaction wasn't surprise. It was displeasure. He hadn't mentioned it earlier to spare me stress. At the engagement party, he saw them sulking in a corner on the phone with my sister, who was sobbing. When they noticed him, they hung up and acted cheerful, but he'd heard enough. This revelation clarified things. They couldn't have missed the invite. I'd checked everything. After they skipped the wedding, I decided to cut contact, even for show. If my sister was their only concern, they could have her. Weeks ago, I heard from relatives that she's engaged. She's been with her partner a year, and he proposed. Good for her. My parents are splashing out on her wedding, posting about lavish venues and bragging to friends. My sister's been telling family she's shopping at high-end designers, and it's set to be a spectacle. I didn't care much, but days ago my parents called, accusing me of sabotaging her wedding. I was clueless. They claimed I'd spent 8 months bad-mouthing them, and now relatives were refusing to attend her engagement party or wedding. They said they knew I'd told everyone they skipped my wedding because they were upset I married before my sister, whom they see as prettier and more successful. They accused me of smearing them, causing family to shun her events. They weren't wrong. When relatives asked why my parents weren't at my wedding, I'd told the truth, fueled by anger after my husband's insights. I didn't think I was gossiping. They ditched my wedding despite their obsession with optics, prioritizing my sister's feelings. I'd learned my lesson. No more covering for them. When family asked at gatherings, I shared what happened, including their gaslighting attempt. I didn't sugarcoat it, but wasn't malicious. I didn't expect word to spread so far that most relatives now know they skipped my wedding to spare my sister's ego and tried to trick me into thinking I forgot their invite. Now, family members want nothing to do with them. A cousin, known for stirring drama, told my sister what I'd said, likely to fan the flames. My parents are livid, believing I deliberately ruined their reputation out of jealousy. They claimed my husband fabricated the story and that I didn't invite them to play victim and vilify them. I reject that. I know I sent the invites, and my husband's account rings true. What's odd is that my honesty led relatives to boycott my sister's wedding. Am I the jerk for telling family the real reason my parents missed my wedding? My sister and I have never clicked, largely because she's always belittled me. It's not enough that our parents favor her. She needs me to feel it constantly. I don't know why, but since childhood, she's rubbed her superiority in my face. She was always top of her class, a star athlete, and popular. That should have been enough, but she made cruel jabs and snide remarks to make me feel small. Her friends, though younger, targeted me daily. I didn't make a fuss. They were a nuisance, not a threat. I hoped she'd outgrow her mean streak, but she didn't. Even as an adult, she kept mocking me, so I started avoiding family events unless necessary. I'm non-confrontational and prefer steering clear of people I dislike. Over time, I only showed up when I had to, dodging her petty digs. I tried bonding with her as kids, but I realized she's not someone I want in my life. I had the same epiphany with my parents recently. I clung to them despite their neglect because they were my only immediate family. Relatives were close, but it wasn't the same. Now I see my relatives as truer family than my parents or sister ever were. After reflecting, I decided to ignore my parents. Sharing my truth with family wasn't as awful as they claimed. I was just honest. When they kept messaging, I replied, reiterating my stance. They argued I'd tarnished their image out of envy. On a call, I let it all out. When they accused me of jealousy, I admitted it. Not for her success or looks, but because they always chose her over me. I could handle the world picking her, but my own parents? That cut deep. I was tired of pretending it didn't hurt. I'd stayed silent, hoping they'd value me, but they never did. Even unintentionally, I was chasing their approval. When I finally spoke, they balked, because it exposed them. If the truth makes them look bad, that's on them, not me. If they wanted praise, they should have been better parents. They gave me this leverage themselves, so they can't complain about my honesty. If I want to tell family how they favored my sister, I will. They called me a victim seeking sympathy. Fine, maybe I am. Instead of badgering me to retract, they should convince relatives they're not who I described. That's their job, not mine. I'm done fixing their mess. They went quiet, stunned by my outburst. I'm usually reserved, so they expected me to cave. But I was done letting them trample me, hoping for scraps of love. After a pause, they said since I'd branded them bad parents and resented their treatment, they'd let me go. They'd hoped I'd care as their daughter, but claimed I relished their pain. They said they had no expectations of me and I could live as I pleased. They'd never bother me again. They added that we're both their daughters and maybe I felt slighted because of my insecurities, not their actions. They couldn't admit fault, painting me as the villain. I stayed silent. It was pointless to argue. If they want me as the bad guy, so be it. It frees me. Venting years of pain felt liberating, like shedding a weight. Whatever happens with my sister's wedding, it's their problem. I'm moving on. Days ago, my sister texted, saying I was wrong to call out our parents. They raised me, did everything, and I was ungrateful to claim otherwise. She acted superior, reveling in scolding me. It grated, so I blocked her without replying. Hours later, my husband got a text from an unknown number, her demanding he make me apologize, saying he can't let me disgrace the family now that he's part of it. I was livid at her audacity, but my husband found it comical, laughing at their delusion that he'd sway me. His humor helped me brush it off. I haven't shared recent events with family due to work, but if asked, I'll be upfront. I'm not gossiping, just sharing my truth. If it upsets my parents, good. Their actions are damning enough without embellishment. Despite knowing I won't stay quiet, they keep digging their hole with these stunts. Weeks later, my parents spread word that I'm lying to smear them, jealous of my sister's grander wedding. They thought this would paint me as the villain, but it backfired. Most relatives already suspected their bias toward my sister from childhood. My story rang truer than their denials. Instead of believing them, family told me what they were saying behind my back. Their plan failed spectacularly. Now people mock their foolishness alongside me. It's pure karma, and I'm thrilled they've shown everyone their true selves. If you like this story, then kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on notification for next video. Thanks for reading.